Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and this is remarkable. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Canada, who pretends he's from Texas. There we go. Oh, Canada. Thank you, Shana. Senator Ted Cruz was asked about his birth certificate. He released it, and there are some comments on this. This, I believe, this was over this is from Daily Kos. Nice try, Raphael Edward. The person over at Daily Kos who wrote this said, took some time yesterday to inspect your alleged birth certificate from Senator Cruz. It was a crude, cartoonish GIF file. Actual birth certificates in the 1970s were printed on birch bark. The red seal is blank. Authentic Canadian birth certificates show a Mountie chasing a moose, making off with a six-pack of Molson. The font, it's all wrong. There's no mention of hockey anywhere on this certificate. Also, a proton scan reveals no trace of tar sand revenue, and that stuff gets all over everything. So anyway, it goes on and on from there. So I thought, let's ask the real expert on this stuff. Dr. Jerome Corsi wrote the book that started the whole thing about Barack Obama. It's called Where's the Birth Certificate? The case that Barack Obama is not eligible to be president. Still available in hardcover over at your favorite book site. And Jerome Corsi, hang on just a minute. Clicked the wrong button. Sorry about that, Mike. Dr. Jerome Corsi is
Tom.
on the line. Hey, Jerry, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
So, first of all, Ted Cruz, he just comes right out and says, okay, my dad is not an American, and I was born in Canada, and yet I still have the right to run for president. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, what Ted Cruz is trying to do is to very cleverly use the same arguments supporters of Barack Obama were using for Barack Obama. I'm not saying yes, it's appropriate or inappropriate. That's what he's doing.
Which is to say, because his mom was an American, he's an American.
Yeah, or the idea is that if you were qualified at birth to be an American citizen, then you are a natural-born citizen,
right,
making that the definition. The argument, of course, is an argument that the standard defining natural-born citizen is not that you were eligible to be a citizen at birth, but according to a political philosopher at the time of the Constitution, when the founding documents were written, a guy named Vattel, French philosopher, natural-born citizen meant 2 U.S. citizen parents when you were born and born in the United States.
But this guy wasn't even an American. He was French.
French, yes, but the American, Thomas Jefferson, Franklin, Washington borrowed.
We've had several presidents who did not have 2 American parents.
Let's see. Was there an American president? The main one who...
I think it wasn't Jackson. Wasn't one.
I don't believe. I'd have to go back and look.
Zachary Taylor. I mean, there were several.
Some of the early presidents also were grandfathered by the way Article 1, Section 2 was written, saying that if you were a U.S. citizen at the time...
Oh, but these people were born long after the writers of the Constitution were dead.
Yeah, but they were they traced back to parents who were citizens when the Constitution...
Okay, but to cut to the chase here, are you being consistent? Are you now coming out and saying that Ted Cruz is not eligible to run for president of the United States?
2 things, Tom. I'm saying, one, what I said from the beginning, namely, we need a Supreme Court decision on this to define what is a natural-born citizen. I'm saying, second... Well,
wait a minute. You were on our program a long time ago when this first came out, and you weren't saying, I want a Supreme Court decision. You were just saying Barack Obama should be kicked out of the White House.
If you listen to me finish.
Okay.
Said, number one, we should have a Supreme Court decision on this to the Senate. Secondly, if you're going to apply the Vattel standard, which I believe applies to Obama, then Cruz is not eligible. If you apply the more liberal standard that the supporters of Barack Obama use, namely eligible to be a citizen when you're born, then Cruz has an argument. I don't think it's a correct argument. I think that I think Vattel's definition was the one the founders meant. If the founders had meant to say someone who is eligible to be a citizen at birth.
So let me get this right. We're talking with Jerome Corsi, who wrote "Where's the Birth Certificate?" The case that Barack Obama is not eligible to be president, that kind of kicked off this whole hysteria back in the day. And when it was the black guy in the White House, you were on this program. I mean,
Tom,
you were saying Barack Obama is not eligible to be president. You weren't saying we should investigate it. You weren't saying there's a liberal standard by which it's possible.
They're in the book. But to be absolutely clear on this, I'm saying.
But now that it's a white guy, you're saying, well, maybe we should ask the Supreme Court.
Would you let me answer this?
Yeah.
I'm saying, my opinion. I'm saying that Vattel's standard is the correct standard, and under that standard, Obama's not eligible and Cruz is not eligible. I'm saying neither one are eligible.
Period.
I'm also saying period.
But just a second ago, you were saying maybe we need to have, or there's a more liberal interpretation, or let's ask the Supreme Court.
I don't think the liberal interpretation is correct. My personal opinion, I don't think it's correct.
Okay, so are you going to write a book called "The Birth Certificate Stinks: The Case That Ted Cruz Should Not Be President"?
If Ted Cruz persists, at some point in the debate, I will enter and say that Ted Cruz does not apply under the Vattel standard, which I believe is the correct standard.
Okay, and in that case, now that standard that you're talking about is whether your father is an American citizen. You want both parents.
The Vattel standard is both parents U.S. citizen at the time you're born.
Okay, so
and born in the United States.
But again, that disqualifies a number of people who've already been president of the United States, and they were president of the United States back. And I believe it's a total of 8 of them. It's at least 6 of them, and they were president of the United States back at in some of them as early as times when.
Tom, I'm not sure that that's the case. They would have to go back and research the ones you have in mind.
Well, the last time you were on this show, I read you the list. I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me right now. But
remember, we have to go back and look at the list, because remember, there is an exception in Article 1, Section 2, that grandfathers, those who became or were citizens when the Constitution was ratified, because many of those people
Chester
had
Arthur,
been born and their parents had not been
James
born in the
Buchanan,
United States.
Woodrow Wilson,
Herbert
Hoover
were born.
All of these guys had mothers who were born outside the United States.
But, Tom, it's not where the mothers were born. It's whether the mothers were U.S. citizens when the future president was born. You can be born outside the United States as a parent, as under Vattel's standard, as long as you were a citizen when the child was born.
Okay, so when it was the black guy, it was case closed, black and white here,
I said because his father was not a citizen when he was born, Barack Obama was not eligible, and I thought the Vattel standard was
But if it's Buchanan or Hoover or Wilson or Chester Arthur or Ted Cruz, then...
Same with Ted Cruz. Same with Ted Cruz.
You realize how bad this sounds, Jerry?
His father was not a citizen when he was born. He's not eligible to run for president.
Okay, so are you going to come out and just explicitly say Ted Cruz should just hang it up?
Tom, I've already said it in print.
Okay.
It's already in print. In fact, I said this not only about Cruz, I've said it about whether or not it applies to others like...
Okay. Final question. We're running out of time here, Jerry. What would it take to prove to you that Obama was actually born in America?
That's not the issue, Tom. His father wasn't a citizen when he was born.
Okay, so you're no longer concerned about where he's born. The playing field is kind of shifted.
Tom, I said the first and completely disqualifying condition was his father was not born in the United States. The same... He was not a citizen. I'm sorry, he was not a citizen when he was born.
Right.
The same disqualification applies to Cruz.
Okay, but not to Buchanan or Arthur or to Herbert.
Their parents were citizens when they were born.
Okay. Well, we'll have to check into that. At least there's some consistency here. Jerry Corsi, Dr. Jerome Corsi, author of Where's the Birth Certificate? His new book coming out about who killed Kennedy. You can check that out. Jerry, thank you for being with us today.